7 o'clock, we'll call the meeting to order. I'm not sure who's calling roll.
I can. I probably won't do it alphabetically.
Universal person.
Commissioner Larson,
Here.
Commissioner Steeler,
Here.
Commissioner Young,
Here.
Commissioner Miller,
Here.
Commissioner Brink, Commissioner Kubal, Chair Gerard.
Here. We ask if you're able, please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chair is looking for a motion to approve the agenda as presented or with changes.
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. It's a non-debatable motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries. Chair is looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented, or if you wish to remove an item from the agenda, that would be fine also.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Our first regular agenda item tonight is Resolution 04-12-23-01. It's for 1468 Bay Drive, a house reconstruction with the front yard setback variance. So the way this will work this evening and on all of the applications, the staff will present the application as they are as familiar with it. The commissioners will then, at the end of that, ask any questions that they may have, clarifications. After that, we'll invite the applicant, if they'd like to say a few words, to come on up. In the case of the variance, there'll be a public hearing. We'll cover more details on that later. And then when we are finished, there will be a decision made by the Planning Commission. So with that, I believe, Ken, you are presenting?
I am, Mr. Chair, thank you. Excuse me, as you introduced, we have a variance request for the property at 1468 Bay Drive Southeast. I put the location map up on the screen of the property. I'm going to be clicking around a little bit here to bring up some maps. So the request is to, in part, to rebuild the existing home that's on the property that has a single-family home and an attached garage, rebuild it with a new home that will not meet the front yard setback requirements. So this is an aerial photo here of 1468 showing the relatively recent existing conditions. We also have a survey I'll get to here. There we go. So this is the existing conditions of the property, showing the existing house and garage. Has about a 2.9 foot setback on the west side and just under 8 foot setback, I believe, on the east side, and a 25 foot, I should be able to read my own writing there, on the front. The proposed plan, there I enlarged it, yes, is to, again, tear down that house, rebuild with a brand new home. The old house sits in here, is kind of shadowed underneath. The new home would have an 11 foot setback on the west, a 15 foot setback on the east, and the variance request is to allow this corner of the garage to be 20 feet from the front yard property line instead of 30 feet as typically, or as required by code. So it's a 10 foot setback variance is the request for this evening. With this plan, they are meeting all the other required setbacks. According to the applicants, this home was originally built in 1942. It has suffered damage recently from a tornado and a water main break, and it's gotten to the point where it's really no longer worth investing in the property, and long term it's better to demolish it and start over. The reason for the setback variance request is requested again to have the 20 foot instead of a 30 foot is to allow the house, excuse me, to allow the house, the new home, to better match the existing contours and topography. this property drops down fairly significantly down to the lake. These contours show up fairly well here. And if it had to be pushed back another 10 feet, there'd be just that much more drop, and that much more fill that would have to be brought in. And it would add to the impervious surface because now the driveway would be that much longer. So for those reasons, that's the primary reason to have the setback as requested at 20 feet instead of 30. So staff has reviewed this. I included the comments in the staff report. A couple of things that were pointed out by our city engineer that will need to be addressed before construction is the swale. There needs to be a swale on this east side. So stormwater is directed more directly, if you will, towards the lake and not towards the side property line. So it'd be a low point in the middle between, so water will flow and not go directly to the neighbor's property. And similar to that, we're recommending that there be gutters and downspouts added to the home and that the leaders from those be directed, again, on both sides away from the neighboring properties. So again, the roof water doesn't go directly towards the adjacent properties. Reviewing our code requirements, the findings of facts for variance. In summary, it's my opinion, staff's opinion, that this request does meet all those criteria. There are practical difficulties. It's a unique situation that they did not create. The older home with the setbacks narrow on the sides and not great from Bay Drive, but still better than what's proposed. In summary, it's my opinion that by increasing the side yard setbacks, improving the grading and drainage, yes, it's a reduced setback here, but in the character of the lake properties and this neighborhood, that 10 feet, in my opinion, doesn't really stand out or make it troublesome to allow the reduced setback. So it's staff's recommendation to have the commission approve the resolution 04-12-2301 that's attached in the packet that approves the variance request as shown on the screen for this property. A couple of conditions that I'll point out is that we're requesting that the applicant provide the city with a certificate of survey with a revised detailed grading plan with the building permit approval, and that will go to showing how the drainage will work and not drain on the neighboring properties, and that they install gutters and downspouts on the house, new home, of course, to make sure the rainwater runoff is directed away from the properties. With that, I'll stop, take questions. The applicants are here as well.
Commissioners, any questions of staff?
Mr. Roberts, with the build, how big is the driveway pad then gonna be? Ample enough for 1 or 2 cars in it, at least, I'm assuming?
It'll be 16 feet wide here at the road, and then it's a 90-degree turn into the garage. So it looks like it's a 3-car garage.
And there's enough parking, or enough of a pad outside for at least a
Well,
car parked outside?
I'm seeing 30 feet from the door to the edge of the driveway
Perfect,
across here.
thank you.
Commissioner Young?
What's the impervious area percentage on the existing house, please?
It's a little over 15.
It's on the plan.
15.
Yeah, 15.3%.
And the impervious area of the planned home?
28.5.
So basically, it's not the driveway that's driving the impervious problems, it's the home and the rebuild of the home.
Well, it's definitely a bigger footprint, yes.
Yes, it is a much bigger footprint. And so the driveway and a shorter driveway by 10 feet is really not driving the impervious area. I walked it, and I was there this afternoon, and this will really be a difference on the character of that road. It will stick out much farther from the adjoining properties. And it's right on you essentially drive into the driveway as you're coming down 11th. If I purchase a property and it's 60 by 60, and I want to put a 50-foot house in there, you know, so that I don't have, and it's not MXR, so I don't have sufficient side lots. I come in for a variance. Is it the physical surroundings of that property that mean that I can't build my 60-foot home? Or is it my choice of the property and my choice of the size of the building that I'm trying to build?
My answer, as I learned in graduate school, it depends. But I would say generally it'd be the latter. It's your choice of how big of a building or a home you want to build and how you want to fit it on the property. Or try to.
I thought about this. I thought about this one hard, and you know, there are adjacent properties that are dealing with that same slope, a little bit more, actually. And I don't agree that the particular physical surroundings require a variance. They've made choices on the size and the shape and the structure of their new home, which I think will be in an amazing place. And I don't believe that the plight of the landowner is due to circumstances unique to the property not created by the landowner, because the landowner is choosing the size and the shape of the house. I really, really do appreciate that they are pulling in and are working on the side setbacks. But in terms of that 10-foot being justified by a reduction in impervious surface, and justifying the variance, that I can't support.
Other comments? Kevin?
Just curious, Mr. Roberts, have we changed our impervious percentage allowed?
No,
Okay.
but
And what is that currently?
if it's a vacant,
Impervious is 25%. However, when you're under 15,000 square feet, you can get up to 30% impervious.
and/or when you rebuild.
So they've got the they're fine with the impervious. They're, you know.
Yes, I didn't realize that.
Section S
Huh.
of that.
I'm gonna have to read more, I
You
guess.
have to read that.
All these years, and I just learned that. Okay.
And this is a shoreland overlay, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
So it's in the shoreline overlay chapter. Other comments? Would the applicant like to, I'm not sure who's the applicant here. Would you care to add anything?
You'll step up.
If you do, we
step
ask
up
you
to the
please
podium,
step
please.
up, state your name and address for the record.
If you wouldn't mind also just signing the sign-in sheet there for
Sure.
our files.
Kurt Hillstrom and Janine Crotty, 1468 Bay Drive, Southeast, Forest Lake. We agree with, so we've read the minutes, and we agree with the supporting comments that they had on there. It said on the side, I know this is moving it forward 10 feet, but it's actually matching both yards for the neighbors, the contour. Otherwise, there'd be a lot of retaining walls and not matching the neighbor's contour, the slope of the land to match both sides. Of course, we're putting a house in the middle of it, but to accommodate all the neighbors on the sides, that's why we have the slopes that way. The only way to do that is to pull the house forward, so.
Susan?
What do you mean by matching the neighbors on the sides? Because you'll be considerably farther forward than the neighbors on the sides, and their homes do extend fairly far back.
Yeah, but they're up higher. So right as you come into the property, there's a drop and then another big drop. So The neighbors have a lot of retaining walls on the sides of theirs because they had to prop theirs up because their land to build on it had to be built up so much higher. Now we'll be putting the land at the same heights as the neighbors. So they could take down the retaining wall or leave it up, whatever. But we're matching all the contours of both neighbors on both sides. If you look on the
The
survey, you
elevation,
can see.
not the
yeah,
forward and back.
Right,
right.
yeah.
But even on the forward, we're still, if you look at the surveys, it goes into the neighbors' yards, and that's the same elevations they have too, so.
I'm looking at it.
Currently, you don't have any problems with drainage or anything like that, especially with the snowfall that we've had this year, I'm assuming?
Well, the way the house is now, especially when the city water main broke, yeah, it just comes pouring into the house because there's a slope down and then another slope down, so it all kind of rushes to the basement, so.
Did you have seepage then into the house then currently?
Yeah,
Okay,
on that water main break, yeah.
okay. Other than that, just weather-related issues, you haven't had issues though?
We're not
Once
staying
in a
there right now.
while,
No.
yeah, once in a while, but there is drain tile in there, but still the basement floor has gotten wet, so,
Yeah, I understand.
yeah.
Thank you.
And it actually rushes into the garage too, because of the elevation. It goes into the garage too, so.
Thank you.
Ken, could you scroll there? Thanks. I didn't explain myself very well.
So moving it up, we'll have to bring ours up to match the neighbors. Bringing it forward is not raising it higher or lower than theirs. It's kind of bringing it up to the same level, even though we're forward.
What I was referring to was how much closer to the road your home will be in terms of the rest of the neighbors and the rest of the folks on that street.
Yeah, so it's just one corner, and the way that road curves and the way the property line goes in front, there is more property on the left-hand side, is where the garage will be placed. So the corner is, if you look at, I think Ken had one, so from the property line, since it slopes this way, the corner of the garage is 25 feet right now.
This
But
corner here.
as we're over to the left side where it angles, will be 25 with the new garage. And so there's more property on that side. It angles quite a bit on the
Because where the curve is, there's a lot more property at the front yard.
front left as you're looking at it.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, if I may, it looks like, I didn't measure them, but this corner of this house, I gotta think is less than 30 feet. I couldn't tell you a number, but looking, if this is 25 here, existing, this is certainly less than 30, and this one's not much farther back. Now, this one is way farther back, but that's a longer, deeper lot too, so.
But you're essentially gonna cut that front yard in half,
This
right?
one,
Yes.
so we'll go back to the survey.
Well, it'll be 5 feet closer than it currently is,
Yeah.
not cutting in half. Pardon me?
Yeah, because right now,
No,
this
it's
corner's
20
at 25.
right now to the
They're
corner
25
of
to the
existing.
garage now,
Okay.
and we're gonna go
And
to
it's going to
20. So
20.
we're only, so if we can go back to that picture.
Which one, Paul?
With
the aerial photo?
The aerial, please.
Yep.
If I understand this right, you're coming 5 foot closer to Bay Drive than what the garage currently is.
Except for, it's over to the left
Yeah,
side.
it's on the opposite side than it currently is.
And remember, the garage isn't the existing is not 25 feet from Bay Drive, it's from the property line. Their
Right.
property line is how short of the Bay Drive, you probably have another 5 feet there or so.
Yeah, we're almost 30 feet. from
Yeah,
the-
so
We're,
the property line is 25 feet, but there is certainly more space, and with the garage over to the left, probably even more so before you get to the corner of Bay Drive.
yeah, to the pavement, it's 30 feet from the property line. And then from the property line to the house, on the left-hand side, it's probably 30 feet, 32 feet maybe.
Other questions of the applicant? I think we may have some later. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. The way this works, we'll invite anyone who would like to speak to this application to come up, state your name and address for the record, spend a couple minutes giving your thoughts on this application. Once everyone has been heard, we will close the public hearing, bring it back to the Planning Commission for further discussion and a decision. So we will open the public hearing at 7:21 PM. Does anyone wish to speak to this application? It's 80 degrees and sunny. What a surprise. I'll ask again, does anyone wish to speak to this application? I'll ask staff, do we have anyone online, or have we received any emails for this application?
We have not, and there is no one online.
Thank you. Last call, does anyone wish to speak to this application? Seeing no one come forward, we'll close the public hearing at 7:22 PM and bring it back to the commissioners for discussion and a decision. Commissioners?
When I looked at this, I never considered the impervious area to be an issue. And I don't know, I don't think it is in any way. Can you bring that back up, Ken? We lost it there. Somebody wiggled their mouse or something, so.
No, that was me.
Oh, that was it.
And the reason I brought it up was that it was used as a reason
Oh, okay,
to grant the variance.
Got it.
That it was a significant benefit.
okay.
And since the house is making a very significantly larger percentage.
So Ken, if you scroll back to the existing house plan view, just one page, I think it is. Yeah, keep going a little further. So the existing garage, you have highlighted there, 25 feet to 25.2 feet. And then you can see there's, I bet there's 5 more feet before you're to the pavement of Bay Drive, so 30 feet. If you don't have the ability to scale that on here, that's okay. So then if you go to, now if you scroll down to their new plan, now granted the garage is, that corner of the garage is 20 feet to the property line, but it's even, if you follow that same line where that minimum distance is taken, the 20.3, you've got further distance to go to the road. Boy, that's, I think we're really splitting hairs. They're already, being a lakefront lot, you're already forced to go 50 feet back from the water. And to meet all the other requirements is a challenge. So I don't have a problem with it.
It's okay.
So I'm just giving my own opinion on that.
And I'll chime in. I would have the same opinion. I don't have a problem with this variance. We are cleaning up both the side yard setbacks are very nice on this one. We didn't go over the impervious. Typically, when we see these variances for being 20 feet from the road, we're concerned about cars hanging over and parking. But on this lot, this is set up as, besides being attached, it's set up very similar to my house, where you pull all the way in and you can still get in and out of your garage with 2 cars across. So I don't have any problem with this, based on the way this larger driveway is right here. If it was a straight in into the garage, then I would be more concerned about having only 20 feet. But being that you pull all the way into the garage, or all the way up towards the house for an event or some visitors, that I think we're just fine. That's my 2 cents. Other comments?
And again, my objection isn't with the house or the design or the whatever, it's the reasons for a variance I don't believe are met. And that's why we have multiples of us here.
I would concur. I've sat in your seat with slim minority.
And they've done that.
Kevin?
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution dated 4/12/23, or, I'm sorry, 04/12/2301, for the 10-foot front yard setback variance with the 7 conditions.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'd like to second that, Chairman.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No?
Abstentions? Motion carries. Good luck on your project. The Planning Commission is the final stop for you unless someone disagrees and wants to have a different decision than what we gave tonight, and they have 1 week to talk to the city about that. But otherwise, if nothing happens in a week, you can proceed with your plans. Good luck on your project.
Thank you very much.
We'll move to item 6B. It's Resolution 04-12-23-02, 1391 11th Avenue Southwest, EVE Genesis Warehouse Site Plan Review. Ken, are you presenting?
I'll take this one again. Excuse me. This request application is for site plan review for exterior improvements at the property at 1391 11th Avenue Southwest. The location map is on the screen. So it's just between the freeway and Highway 61 on the north side of 11th, which is also known as 220th. The aerial photo of the site, it's a large, well, relatively large warehouse light manufacturing facility with a loading dock here and a driveway going into a, shall we say, less than perfect parking lot that they have currently. They are proposing, I'm gonna find another map, to make significant investment and changes to their site. Try to zoom in a little bit on this. Yeah, that was too much. All right. The improvements that they're proposing, again, this is the existing building, really no changes to the building. Improving their loading dock that's on 11th, so easier for trucks to load and unload. Improving their driveway going in, and then paving all this in gray for a parking area. If we picked up on the existing conditions, the parking lot is generally in here and crumbling, and maybe you can park 12 cars on it. There is a door on the east end of the building here that they, as I understand, take materials in and out of, primarily in for their manufacturing process. So the building is about 32,000 square feet. The parking, again, accommodates maybe 15 to 20 vehicles. This new plan will have parking for up to 36 vehicles along here and in the center and adjacent to the building. This does require site plan approval because there are significant changes to the site. In short summary, most all of the plan meets all the requirements of the city, except I'll point out these parking spaces along here. They're proposing to be 18 feet deep, front to back, instead of 20. But the code allows that to happen if there's a place for overhang adjacent to the spots, and there will be along this property line because they're meeting the 5-foot setback requirement here. I'm gonna see if I can find another plan here. Now let's get this to open. This is the landscape plan for the site. As part of the project, they would be building a new stormwater management pond here with underground, for stormwater management, stormwater would come off the parking lot and go into the pond. They are also proposing fencing and landscaping along here and landscaping here. There's really virtually no landscaping on the site now, except there is a clump of about 12 large trees generally in this area that have not been fully identified yet that may need to be mitigated. That's in our conditions. So the improvements will include additional parking, better access in and around the entire site, improved stormwater management. There are, and part of what has evolved with this project is there are 2 easements that run north-south along this line. There's an XL Energy or NSP easement here for power lines, and then the city has a 14-foot wide easement shown here, and that allows the city to get to the north here as there's a drainage way in this area that goes all the way to the north towards Walmart. And so working with the applicant and the applicant's team, we have, and they have agreed to, go back a plan, include in their, in their materials or in their plan. This doesn't show it. There will be a access easement that's shared or for city purposes across this driveway and then over to the existing easement to allow city crews to get into this drainage way if need be for maintenance purposes. They are also, at the request of the city and the county, dedicating a large drainage, utility, roadway, and trail easement along 11th for future utility work and a future trail as the county is working on plans to upgrade and improve 11th in 2026, I believe. And so this is put in place now, or will be put in place now, to accommodate any future, again, utility, trail, or road work without having to come back to the applicant after the fact. They are proposing exterior storage with this in this area with pallet storage here. Code does allow that with some screening, and again, the best they can do, and they are accomplishing that with, I showed on the landscape plan, is fencing and screening with vegetation here to help screen this from the road. And so that should meet our requirements. They are also proposing to add a dumpster enclosure here that will match the look of the building, which is another code requirement. Touched on the access. There is one existing easement I did not point out. This is a 40-foot wide utility easement that the city had for a former sewer line, sanitary sewer line. It's no longer in use, and as long as the pipe's been capped, it's not been removed, and staff is comfortable just leaving the easement in place. We don't need it, but if it gets to a point where it needs to be vacated, that can be done at a later date with working with staff and the applicant, and the city council would have to approve vacating that easement if necessary. We did share this plan with Washington County, the Watershed District, of course, our city engineer. We received comments from all those various agencies. I know it has preliminary approval from Rice Creek, the Watershed District. They'll need to get final approval. The county provided us some comments about the future road plans, and ideally, the county would like this loading dock to go away because of traffic and trucks on 11th. At this point, the applicant wants to keep it, and we can't tell them they can't have it right now, so the plan is to improve that for their benefit. And I should back up a little bit. The applicants use this building for the manufacturing of wall panels. They're assembled, the parts come in, they're assembled, and then they're trucked out to job sites to put together apartment buildings. So they're all framed, and as I understand, a lot of the rough-in work is done for plumbing and electrical, and they can talk about that further. Then they're assembled on a job site, and then they're finished on the job site. That's what they do in this building, so it's a kind of an innovative, nifty manufacturing process that they have. And so we're glad they're in town, and this will just help them run their business that much further. So with all that said, the applicants are here to answer questions. Staff is recommending approval of the resolution. It's included in your packet. And this one, we're recommending subject to 18 conditions of approval. I'll highlight a couple of them. We'll require work with our city attorney to prepare a site improvement agreement, as we do with all projects like this. We will also require to, enter in with the applicant owner easement agreements for allowing the maintenance and access on this easement that will be shared by both parties, and that we'll work through the documents for that need to be done. So those get recorded and go against the property, and that will ensure that the city has the right to use the driveway and go to the north as we need. I touched on the trees we need to finalize with staff. The type of trees that are here, unfortunately, they didn't identify them last fall. So that'll be something we'll work through in the next month or so. If there's mitigation required, we'll work that out at a staff level. And we require now with all our projects to hold a pre-construction conference before they start work. And that's now a standard condition. So with that said, I will stop, take questions. As I said, the applicants are here as well to answer your questions.
Questions for staff? Kevin?
Mr. Roberts, you mentioned the county has an issue with the loading ramp where it is. Could you put that back up, please? I'm sorry.
I don't know why I
Abby.
keep changing that.
Why wouldn't we be able to address that issue if we decide to move this forward as it is?
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, a couple of things. The owners, applicants, are currently using the loading dock, and they don't really have another spot to put it. They need to have that to back trucks in to floor level for the truck level. And the county hasn't finalized their plans for 11th. If we knew 2 years from now, or a year from now, exactly what they were going to do on 11th, it'd be easier to say one way or another, but we don't know enough yet to say, that's just not gonna work. And so it's a little premature.
So currently, the owner uses our public streets to put their trucks on, to load those trucks to go somewhere else.
Well, there is a loading dock here, but they're looking to improve it as part of this project. And I don't think it's even paved. So this would be,
So they can back their trucks all the way into their
Yes.
property up to the warehouse and not on the streets
yeah,
through that
and
loading
it
dock.
might just touch this property line here.
Other questions, staff?
I have a question. If you could go to the aerial view of the
Yep.
property,
Now,
and if you could take your mouse and put it where that holding pond's gonna be?
right down here.
Okay, so to the right of this property, those are apartment buildings, and I know there's a lot of young children in there, because I live near here, and I see school buses dropping them off, picking them up all the time. Do we have requirements of fencing around a holding pond like this, or is that? You'd think that'd be a concern with small kids around, but this is new to me, the holding pond thing.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, our city engineer did not point that out or raise that as a concern. What I have heard in other places that I have worked, sometimes fencing is worse because if someone climbs over the fence and falls in and gets trapped, it's just that much longer to get in to do a rescue. That was one opinion. But I would have thought if it was a concern with this
Okay.
one, the
It
engineer would have brought it up.
Just struck me when I saw that, okay.
Other questions of staff?
I will say, if I may, if and when the county improves 11th, and there's, I think, a fairly good possibility there will be, a trail along the north side here. I could very well see the county adding fencing along the trail. that would be a design decision at that time.
And to Ken's comment, yeah, the fence has been discussed here on the commission before.
Oh, it has.
Both ways, you know. I think if you look at page 37, can you bring up page 37 of your staff report?
Which, is that one of the maps, Mr. Chair?
Yeah, it's actually the holding pond page.
Okay, let me find that. I gotta open another window. Oh, this will show it. Come on. Everything. In here?
Yeah, can you zoom on that?
Absolutely.
Depth.
Keep going, zooming up a little higher.
A little more, all right. Going big.
If you look at this pond here, they have this 10, there's that gap there. That's what's considered a 10-foot safety shelf.
Yes, I see that.
The bench.
And that's my understanding why not having a fence is okay.
So the water never comes above the safety shelf level?
That I'm not saying, but
Oh.
Seldom.
What it does, it's not a continuous slope straight down, there's a break. And that also allows for maintenance vehicles to work around there on that.
Okay.
It's a flat spot.
Yeah, again, it's just, you know, the city and the city engineer, if, I mean, he may not have noticed the property next door or young children at the time that he looked at it, but that's just something I see there every day, so.
Other questions of staff? Would the applicant like to add anything or say anything regarding this? We ask you state your name and address for the record, please.
So thank you for your time tonight. My name is Charlie Igo, address 1391 11th Avenue Southwest. I'm the manager at Norhart on the construction team. So like Ken mentioned, Norhart develops multifamily construction buildings, apartments. We have strong ties to Forest Lake. We work with many cities with our projects, and Ken and Abby have been a pleasure to work with. They've been a really good help for us. This building, like Ken mentioned, is to support our construction efforts. We build wall panels. So essentially, we build all of our wall panels in-house. We ship those to the construction site. We put our buildings up like Legos. It speeds our construction process, adds quality. It also adds an element of safety because we don't have people scaling a 7-story building. We're using a crane to set those. We have about 25 employees at this facility who all live within the area. And our building doesn't look the greatest. I mean, if you go along the road there, there's other buildings that look a lot nicer. So we're really excited to improve our facility, improve our parking lot. And yeah, we're just happy to answer any questions.
Susan?
You're putting a bunch of money and effort into this, and the road is going to be improved by Washington County, and there will more than likely be medians, and it's just gonna be a real pain for you all to continue to use that loading dock. And what I would hate is for you to put this money and effort into this, and by the way, you got a really, really nice write-up in the paper. And
Thank you.
It was a Pioneer Press. Awesome article. And good for y'all and also good for Forest Lake. But I'm just concerned that you're putting this effort into it, and it's gonna be very difficult for you to continue to use that loading dock when 11th is reconstructed. And I'm just wondering if you can make some modifications at this point that will make your life a whole lot easier. Being a trash person, I have no idea how you're gonna get trash moved in and out of there. It's gonna be a challenge for your front loaders to get in there, coming around to in with your loading dock, and then around, next to the loading dock, and then around the building. Unless you've got another entrance on that backside?
No, there's just the two entrances, so I would say that we have two comments on that. Yes, we understand like the median is a potential in the future. The improvements to The east side, that drive lane, there's another dock door that we can utilize. So on that side, there's more room for us to get in there, maneuver a truck all the way around so we can just pull straight in off the road. So if the median does become a problem, that's solved by the parking lot expansion. The loading dock to the west, we can back that in there with the single lane. It's not ideal, but that's kind of the constraints that we're working with. But I do believe that with the west lot, it does help us substantially by having the expansion of the parking lot. We can turn a semi-trailer all the way around in that area.
Okay.
So it is a consideration that we have looked at with our building footprint. It's kind of the best we can do.
Okay.
For the trash side, are you talking about the trash enclosure?
Yeah.
Yeah, so like currently our trash dumpsters are straight in from there, and the trash really hasn't been an issue yet. So I still think the trash trucks will be able to get in and maneuver and get straight up from there.
Okay.
We don't really have too much of waste. I think we're fairly efficient. We just pretty much bring steel coils in and make walls out of that, so there's not a ton of like construction debris that comes out of that.
Other questions? Kevin?
Just a curiosity question. If my recollection is good, someone with your company came before us a while back looking at potentially building a building like this south of 97. Is that something you're still planning on bringing forward, or is that gonna replace this, or are you gonna have both?
Our plan is to have both, and yes, we are pursuing that. The other site, that is going to be a much larger project. Essentially, like what we've done with this panel shop is we've started to support our construction efforts by, incorporating manufacturing and building the components that go into our construction buildings. The other facility would do the same, but increase it. We may be able to look at cabinets, any sort of thing that we can improve the process on and support our construction efforts. But yeah, we want to keep building on this. This was kind of our first showcase to say, okay, yes, we can do this. Yes, it does increase our production efforts. We're getting good quality out of this. We're being safer. We're able to build much quicker, more efficiently. And now we're going to take that and keep building on that.
Great, thanks.
It also gives them some essentially year-round ability to construct. You're not out there trying to put big walls up at 50-mile-an-hour winds in January.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Other questions of the applicant? Anything else you'd like to add tonight, sir?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay, thank you for
Thank
your
you.
time. Commissioners, there's no public hearing tonight, so it is up to us. We are ready to have further discussion, and then the chair will be looking for a motion of some type. So what is your pleasure?
This one looks pretty good.
Yeah, if there's no discussion, I'll make a motion to approve resolution 4-12-23-02 with the 18 conditions proposed by staff.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Good luck on your project. It's nice. We've got a couple of projects right over in that area off of 15th, so it's really stepping up quick over in that hood, so it's gonna look real nice. So, good luck on your project.
Chicago boy. Says the Chicago boy.
That's a Chicago boy, right.
Thanks, Shirley.
Item 6C is for PAD 23.032.21.22.0002, Ingersoll 5-lot concept plan. And I believe, Ken, you're presenting?
I am. Excuse me, let me find the correct maps. That's not it. Oh, there's the proposed preliminary plat. Why don't we just jump in with that? Get to my next report. Actually, it's a concept plan, it's not a preliminary plat. Be clear on that. So the request or process for this evening is for the commission And I gave you paper printouts of this at your desk as well, to review and provide comments to the applicant slash developer about this concept plan for a 5-lot subdivision on the east side of Ingersoll Avenue. The property is about 59, almost 60 acres, but as shown in green, there's a whole bunch of wetlands on it. So back up a step. Why concept review? Why are we here? The code specifically says for subdivisions that any subdivision such as this is required to go through concept review, and as I put in the report, the code says is to obtain informal review comments prior to filing a formal preliminary plat application. And then staff, and primarily the planning commission, is to give feedback to the developer about the plan, and clearly, and we make clear, concept plan does not convey any legal development rights to the property. So it's a chance for staff and commission to give feedback. So again, the plan is 5 lots, all fronting on Ingersoll Avenue, ranging from 10 acres, or almost all 10 acres. The southern lot, lot 5 here, is 15 acres. Again, all the green areas are wetlands. They've all been delineated. They've all been reviewed and agreed to by the local TEP panel, the Technical Advisory. I always forget that acronym. Thank you. Technical Evaluation Panel. And so to the surveyor's credit and the developer's credit, it's, in this case, it's really cutting out what they can't build on and trying to find the spots that they can build on. I'm going to enlarge again, even though it's, you can follow along in your print. So, for example, on lot 1 here, as proposed, they show the wetlands, they're showing setbacks, showing a building pad area of about 1 acre and a septic area. And they have not done any testing for septic sites. They've just identified where they are relatively confident that they could go on each lot. The code requires each lot in the rural residential have at least 1 acre of buildable land outside of easement areas, outside of the wetlands, and not including septic areas. And they've identified that on each of the lots. One thing they are also proposing to do with the plat is dedicate 33 feet of right-of-way for Ingersoll Avenue. Currently, there's a mix of dedicated right-of-way along there. Some parts don't have any. It might just be roadway easement. So that is a good thing for the city and for everybody, because then that sets this east line is now the front property line of the lots, and then that's what the setbacks are measured from. So for example, on this one, we're gonna zoom in again. Darn it, don't do that. This is, again, the southerly lot, just for looking. So it shows the driveway coming in, the wetland basins with the 75-foot setback for septic area shown, 75 feet here. And so it's really on each lot carving out or figuring out what's buildable. And again, they've successfully done that on each of the lots. There will be challenges. And just to be clear, there is no sewer and water in this area, so it's all well and septic. Susan smiles, she knows.
Oh, I know this property really well.
Yeah, it's a beautiful piece, by the way. It's very pretty. And so, again, that's my high-level comments. The commission is supposed to review the concept plan, provide the applicant comments, and that all leads then to any changes the applicant may want to make or need to make to the plan before they submit their formal preliminary plat application. So with that, I will stop, take questions, otherwise we can give the applicant some feedback.
None?
I have a question, Ken, on lot number 5. If you could zoom in on that one down there. The septic area, you mentioned the setbacks from Ingersoll. That septic area looks
Be close.
very close.
Yep.
We're gonna get another variance.
Okay, I mean, will they be notified that they'll have to get a variance for that, to have, put that septic there?
We don't have a setback requirement for septic systems from a roadway.
Okay, we don't. At all, really? Okay.
Now, this, I don't think shows it, but they are showing enough room for a 10-foot wide drainage and utility easement that would be along the right-of-way, and I think this little gap here is reflecting that 10 feet.
Okay. And just for my own sake, while we're still looking at this one, the purple square that represents a hypothetical house, that's 50 feet by 50 feet, roughly? Is that what it shows? I'm just,
Yes.
okay. No, I know they're not, but I'm just conceptually, so I know what it's showing here. So, yeah, that's all I have, sir.
No, but it's
Can we go back to the septic area?
down here.
Wait, not long ago, we had a variance request because we were too close to the road on a variance,
Property line.
property line.
Yeah,
So it's
for-
gotta be on the property, but not setback.
Right. That one was right on the property line.
I
That's
knew
the
that,
one
I
on-
knew there was a line there.
Right, well, it's that one on 97,
Yeah,
where they had to do the railroad timeout.
Well, there was one of
One-
the first projects I worked on when I was here down
on
on
the
180.
curve in the road,
Yeah.
wherever that was, 240th. And then my second question is, the septic area showing, is that both for the primary and a backup? Is that large enough for that, or?
That,
We require both, right?
actually, Washington County does, but we agree with that they need to show
Yes.
primary and secondary. That is something, that's one of those details they will have to dive into much deeper, in more detail with a preliminary plat application.
Okay, okay.
Again, these are just concept areas that they expect will work, but the soil borings and soil testing will all be required.
This is a
But
pretty
when they
piece of
do the preliminary, then they'll have to show both septic areas?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Or Chair Gerard, at least the land area is sufficient for two of them. Doesn't necessarily mean that's where they will go.
Right, right, right. Just that we're capable of putting two on the
Yes.
property. Yes.
This is all end moraine stuff, and I don't think you'll have trouble getting it to perk. But it's a pretty piece of ground, and I noticed your stakes out there, I noticed the for sale signs, and I don't think, you're gonna have folks that are gonna want this, because the views are gonna be awesome.
Are you moving?
I got my 20. I'd have to downsize to come onto this.
Other questions of staff? Would the applicant like to add anything? Comments for the applicant, for staff? My 2 cents would be, it's probably more than we see for most concept plans. Kudos to the developer here in my regard that you've done a lot of detail already, making it a lot easier. I really, as long as you have setback and you guys think you can build houses, or you have septic and you can build houses, to me, it looks good to go.
I think the wells are gonna be really deep here. Yeah.
What do you consider really deep?
Mine's 275. I consider that, I mean, it's not 10,000 feet like, you know,
No.
a couple places.
Water quality, or is it for just water in general?
I've got serious iron sulfur water. A serious, everything in my house is yellow. And that's with a double strength water softener.
Other comments for the developer or staff?
It's pretty pretty.
Do you have any questions of the commission? Any comments you need?
No, I think it's covered.
I think you guys did a bang-up job for a concept plan.
Yeah, it is.
Kudos to all parties.
I was really hard, no, they did a good job. I 100% agree. I've seen a lot worse, and this is probably top 5%.
Yeah, Yeah, you could put this up on, when they come in and say, we want to do a concept, just hand them a copy of this.
Yeah.
Here's a good start,
Yeah,
you
here's
know,
the good
compared to
news.
some of the stuff we've seen.
Yes.
Well, Chair Gerard, if I might add, with some of the stuff that the city has been seeing in the past, it hasn't been making it farther than concept or preliminary, and we really want to set our applicants and our property owners and the commission up for success as we keep going down this route. I think we're one step closer. There's not I mean, there's more work to do before preliminary plat, but a lot less and a lot more assurance than we might have seen in some of these past applications that we've had, so.
Well, I like it personally. Any last comments for the applicant? Good luck continuing on your project. We look forward to seeing you on the preliminary plat.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Those are all 2-foot contours. All right, those slopes are brutal in there.
All right, we have moved on to item 7, discussion. We will start with our honorable councilperson, Roberts. Anything you'd like to tell us today?
I have nothing. Thanks for your work on all these projects that came up tonight.
Did the billboards go through?
You did, yes.
You know, I'm gonna have you come up to the microphone, because, you know,
And we've gotten ready to issue the permit for the one billboard.
huh?
Yes, they did, and if I recall correctly, everything was basically what your recommendation was, and we appreciate your work on that, and that's good to know that that gentleman, I forget his name, who really spearheaded this thing and was, you know, we should have been there a long time ago, but it was good to have an applicant that was willing to help the process, and I think you, staff can attest how vital he was to that process, so.
Anything else we need to know that's coming from the council?
Guys are developing 2024 budget?
We've, we have a workshop on Monday that talking about streets and not so much particularly going after certain streets, but just how to fund those and maybe bond them and different things, because that's, as you can see, especially after this year, we're in trouble out there, and we need to stop kicking the can down the road. Unfortunately, it's gonna cost us all some money, but we have to do it.
Thank
So,
you.
Any questions of the
Thanks for your
councilperson Blake?
guys, thanks for your time.
Thanks, Blake.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. How about staff? Should we start with Abby?
As the council is aware, we hired Don Boogie. As the commission is aware, we hired Don Boogie as our Community Development Administrative Assistant. Don started her 4th week this 3rd week? 4th week. We determined it was 4th week. It all just flies so quickly. She will be now preparing materials for the commission. She'll be your point source as well as Ken and I. She won't be attending meetings, but she'll still be doing our minutes, so we'll be taking notes and trying to convey that the best. Part of that just really is about a timing thing and trying to reduce maybe some unnecessary evening hours when we need her in the office helping us out, answering phones and being available to our community. Beyond that, I'm really sure that there are a ton of things I could tell you about. I just can't think of anything, and I should have made some notes. We do have agendas set for the meeting on the 26th and the meeting on the 10th. And so we're, again, trying to make sure that we don't have these super long meetings, but we don't always get control over what those things are. But there's 3 or 4 items for the 26th, and the 10th for sure we have at least 1. So I'm here to answer any questions you might have if you have any for me.
Any chance that Dawn could come in and do a meet and greet with us at one of our meetings?
I will see that she can do that for sure, and you're all welcome to stop in. We'll give you a tour of City Hall, our offices. Anytime you're welcome. We're open 8 to 4:30. One of us is here all the time, so.
It's a scary place to go behind that door.
Like peeling the curtain back.
If I may propose
Any
something?
question?
Can I propose something in
Sure.
June that maybe we, after a meeting, take advantage of the deck upstairs and maybe we could meet this person then and we can have a beverage up there or something?
You know, the former zoning would have us meet up there in the summer if it was real nice. I'm not sure why that got dropped.
Because I couldn't get access to the building after hours, and I couldn't do the landscaping up there. I had, a couple of years, I had some really good-looking plants. Please tell me you're not gonna have a planning commission meeting on the 24th of May.
The application submittal deadline for the 24th hasn't
come
passed
up
yet.
yet.
That'll be a week from this coming Monday. So as of right now, unless this commission tabled something that would carry over to May 24th, I don't foresee anything, but at the same time, it's a hard thing to predict. So, I do know that's creeping into that isn't Memorial Weekend, like that following weekend there?
Season opener for Aurora,
A season opener?
season opener for soccer team,
Oh,
Minnesota Aurora.
Really?
just,
Adjusting our
Hey,
schedule for
you
that.
guys have all, I mean, how many of these things have I missed, all right? You guys have all had other stuff too.
Yeah, but it's like going to Arizona to golf or go to Hawaii with my wife.
I'm one of 3,080 owners of the team.
We'll bring them by and have a meet and greet with them.
Yeah, bring them in.
Moving on. Ken, anything?
No, we're very busy, and good busy, but lots going on, and that's good to see, because we're not bored. And Dawn will be a big help, and it will just be that much more efficient and organized, and Abby and I are both very thankful to have her on the team.
Very good. Questions of Abby or Ken?
I have one quick.
Go ahead.
I expect the ice to be off of Clear Lake before this weekend. I expect it.
we're not actually in charge of, snow or ice removal, sir, so I don't know that I can help you in that arena.
It will be off, and I tell you, the moment it comes off, there will be cars along there and families, and so I don't know if it's something you just let the police guys know to maybe a little extra.
Yes, to follow up from your last meeting, I did let both our Public
Great.
Works Department
Yeah,
know. They, I think, did go out and do a little bit of sweep of the debris and trash pickup. It's just that time of year, right? When all of a sudden, all the things were hidden
Yeah.
for so long. I did let our police chief know just about traffic through there, weight loads. My understanding is our local enforcement doesn't have the knowledge base or the tools regarding weight loads.
Yeah.
It would be the county,
But he
the
was gonna,
sheriff's department would do
yep,
it.
Chief Peterson was gonna, contact the sheriff's department and talk with them about that. I do think I heard, it sounds like by May 1st, weight restrictions would be off, not that this group might be too concerned about that, but, it sounds like they'll be lifted by then. I do know that, we did submit a bonding bill for the reconstruction of Eureka, and the last I heard is that is still in, the request is still in and being considered. Never know what will happen. There's still quite a bit of time left in the legislature. Let's just hope they pass a bonding bill this year. Let's hope that's still in there. But we are well aware of the constraints of that road.
And from my knowledge, on the boat launch, when that's damaged and needs repair, does the DNR do that, or does the city do that?
That is a DNR facility.
Good.
The good thing, it's real good traffic calming,
No.
the rough road.
The rough road.
You can't go too fast.
I
That's through
think
the rough road.
we did get, there had been a cold mix patches
Yeah,
done
oh
earlier.
yeah, they've been patched a couple days ago, yeah.
Yeah, I think the cold mix popped, but I think they actually got out with hot mix this
Okay.
last week. So
Yeah, it seems
It's-
much better.
it's better, but it's not great, yeah.
All right, we'll go down to commissioners. Kevin?
Nothing.
Susan?
Nothing.
Dan?
Well, sir.
Chair has nothing, so the chair is looking for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second it, sir.
I got a motion and a second, it's a non-debatable motion. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Thank you all for your time. Enjoy one or two more nice days here.